Brian Tracy discovered something nobody talks about. The wealth formula isn't just about setting goals. He noticed millions of people create objectives and stay broke. What's missing is the second element, what he calls the inverted success formula. Today, I'm going to reveal what comes after goal setting and why it changes everything in the game of prosperity. Before we start, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. This helps the message reach more people who need to hear what you're about to discover. There's a silent lie we've all swallowed since childhood. They taught us that, to succeed, you need to define goals, set objectives, visualize the future, and that's it. Life adjusts itself, but nobody told you the part that matters. The part that separates dreamers from achievers. The part Tracy discovered by observing millionaires, failures, and people who work 12-hour days yet remain stuck in the same place. He saw a pattern, and that pattern inverted everything we thought we knew about prosperity. Think about it. How many people do you know who have goals? Who write them down, perform New Year rituals, say, "This year will be different"? Now tell me, how many of those people actually moved forward? The truth hurts, but it's simple. Goals alone move nothing. They're just the beginning, the blueprint of a house before you lay the first brick. And most people spend their entire lives drawing houses that never leave the paper. Tracy realized this after studying hundreds of cases. He saw people with clear, detailed, specific objectives failing miserably. And he saw people without a clue about strategic planning building empires. So he asked the right question. What do those who prosper do that others don't? The answer was hidden in plain sight. So obvious we overlook it without noticing. The second element of the formula isn't motivation. It's not discipline. It's not willpower. It's something more primitive, deeper, more powerful. Tracy called it the inverted success formula because it works backwards. Most people think, I have a goal. Now I'll chase it. But those who prosper think differently. They say, I am someone who has already achieved this. Now I'll act accordingly. Wait. Hold on. This isn't law of attraction talk or positive thinking. It's far more real and far more scientific than it seems. Let me tell you a story. There was this guy, let's call him Marcus, who wanted to get out of debt. He did everything right. Wrote down what he owed, calculated what he needed to earn, created a 12-month plan, put it on the wall, looked at it every day. You know what happened? Nothing. 12 months later, he was still in debt. Actually worse, he took another loan to cover the previous one. Marcus had goals, Marcus had planning, but Marcus remained on the same mental frequency as a debtor. Now there's another guy, Richard. Richard was also in debt, but he did something different. He woke up one day and decided, I'm no longer a debtor. I'm someone who masters money management. It wasn't a mantra. It wasn't an empty affirmation. It was an identity decision. And from that day forward, every decision Richard made was filtered through this new identity. When temptation to spend arose, he didn't think, I need to save to pay the debt. He thought, people who master money management don't do this. 6 months later, Richard was debt-free. 8 months later, he had an emergency fund. The difference between Marcus and Richard is the inverted formula. Marcus tried to change results while keeping the same identity. Richard changed identity first, and results adjusted themselves. Tracy discovered this is what happens in all real success cases. The person changes who they are, and then external reality reorganizes to reflect it. It's not magic. It's mental mechanics. When you see yourself one way, your brain seeks evidence of it in the world. When you see yourself another way, the evidence changes. And more importantly, your actions change. Because you don't act based on what you want. You act based on who you think you are. This is the secret nobody taught you. Goals tell you where you want to go. Identity tells you who you need to be to get there. And when you invert the order, when you start being before having, everything changes. Because then you're no longer chasing anything. You're simply living coherent with who you are. And look, I know this sounds abstract, so let me be more direct. If you want to be wealthy, stop chasing wealth. Start being someone who makes decisions like a wealthy person would. If you want to be healthy, stop chasing health. Start being someone who treats their body like an athlete would. If you want incredible relationships, stop chasing people. Start being someone people want to be around. It's simple, but simple isn't easy. Because changing identity hurts. Your brain hates it. It wants you to keep being who you've always been. It wants comfort, predictability, security, even if that security is the security of misery. Your brain prefers known misery over unknown prosperity. And that's why most people sabotage their own objectives. Not because they don't want to achieve them, but because achieving means ceasing to be who they've always been. And let's be honest, there's something almost funny about it. We spend our whole lives asking life to change, while wanting to remain exactly the same. It's like asking to lose weight while eating pizza every day, then complaining the scale is broken. No, my friend, the scale is working fine. What's broken is your belief system. Tracy saw this 1,000 times. People praying for money, but behaving like they're poor. People wanting respect, but acting like doormats. People dreaming of freedom, but choosing comfortable prisons every single day. And when you point this out, you know what they say? Oh, but I can't change. It's stronger than me. Lie. You can. You just don't want to pay the price of change. Because changing identity has a cost. The cost is letting old versions of yourself die. And we love those old versions, even when they destroy us. But here's the secret within the secret. When you finally accept paying that price, when you finally let the old version die, something magical happens. You realize that version was never really you. It was just a character you played for so long, you believed it was real. And when it dies, you don't lose anything. You gain everything. Because then you finally find who you always were beneath the masks. Tracy calls this the true self-image. The image of who you really are when you stop pretending to be who others expect you to be. And look, this isn't motivational talk. This is structure. Mental architecture. Tracy built a formula anyone can apply. Doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter how many times you've failed. Doesn't matter how many excuses you have. The formula works if you apply it. So let's get practical. First step, stop chasing goals and start building identity. Instead of saying, I want to earn $10,000 a month, say, I am someone who generates $10,000 of value per month. Feel the difference? One is a desire. The other is a declaration of being. Second step, every decision you make, filter through this identity. Before doing anything, ask, would a person who already is this make this choice? If the answer is no, don't do it. Doesn't matter how much you want it. Doesn't matter how harmless it seems. If it's not aligned with who you decided to be, it's self-sabotage. Third step, eliminate old evidence. Your brain seeks evidence of what you believe is true. If you want to change who you are, you need to eliminate evidence of the old version. This means cutting habits, environments, people, conversations, everything that reinforces the old identity. Brutal? Yes. Necessary? Absolutely. Fourth step, create new evidence. Your brain doesn't believe what you say. It believes what you do. So do small things consistently, daily, that prove the new identity. If you decided to be someone disciplined, start by making your bed every day. Sounds silly? That's exactly why it works. It's not about the bed. It's about proving to yourself that you keep your promises. And here's something Tracy discovered that few understand. You don't need to believe. You just need to act as if you believed. Belief comes later. First you act, then you believe. Not the other way around. Most people wait to feel like doing something before they do it. People who prosper do things to create the feeling. Action precedes emotion, not the other way around. When you act like someone confident, your brain starts producing confidence chemistry. When you act like someone prosperous, your brain starts seeking prosperity opportunities. It's not pretending, it's reprogramming. Tracy tested this on thousands of people, and he discovered something shocking. It takes an average of 66 days for a new identity to start solidifying. 66 days of consistent actions. Doesn't need to be perfect. Needs to be consistent. And after those 66 days, something shifts. You don't need to try so hard anymore. Because now, that's who you are, not something you're trying to be. But there's an obstacle, a big one, giant. And if you don't understand it, all this becomes just pretty theory that stays on paper. The obstacle is cognitive dissonance. Your brain hates when your actions don't match your identity. It goes into crisis, and the natural tendency is to return to old comfort. That's why you start the diet on Monday, and by Thursday, you're eating junk. That's why you promise to wake up early, and every night you hit snooze. That's why you swear you'll save money, and by month's end, you're in the red again. It's not lack of willpower. It's cognitive dissonance. Your deep identity hasn't changed, so your brain sabotages any attempt at superficial change. The solution? Change identity first. Don't try to change behavior. Behavior is a consequence of identity. You don't stop smoking because you decide to stop smoking. You stop smoking when you decide to stop being a smoker. Seems like the same thing, but it's not. One is effort. The other is transformation. Tracy tells a story that illustrates this perfectly. He met a businessman who was bankrupt. The guy had lost everything: company, house, marriage, reputation, was literally sleeping on his mother's couch at 42 years old. And everyone expected him to become another almost made-it case. But this guy did something different. He didn't try to rebuild what he lost. He decided to become someone else. He stopped seeing himself as a failed businessman trying to recover, and started seeing himself as a strategic investor building the next move. Changed identity. Didn't change the situation. The situation remained the same. He was still on his mother's couch, but the way he saw himself had changed. And that changed everything. 3 months later, he had a new partnership. 6 months later, a consulting contract. 1 year later, he was earning more than before bankruptcy. 2 years later, he had 3 companies. What changed wasn't the market, wasn't luck, wasn't timing. What changed was who he decided to be in the middle of chaos. And look, I need to be honest with you. Most people will never do this, because most people prefer blaming circumstances over assuming the power they have. It's more comfortable to say, the economy is bad, than to say, I chose to act like a victim of the economy. It's easier to say, I didn't have opportunities, than to say, I didn't become someone who creates opportunities. But you who are here, watching this until now, you're different. Otherwise, you would have left already. So I'm going to give you the most powerful part of Tracy's formula. the part it took him years to understand and decades to perfect. The second element of the formula isn't just identity. It's identity plus compound action. Compound action is different from common action. Common action is doing something once. Compound action is doing something consistently until it becomes part of who you are. It's the difference between going to the gym once and being someone who trains. Between reading a book and being someone who studies. Between saving for 1 month and being someone who manages wealth. Tracy discovered that the size of the action doesn't matter. What matters is frequency. What matters is consistency. What matters is that it's small enough so you don't quit, but significant enough to create identity. He calls this the 1% principle. Every day, you improve 1% in the direction of the identity you chose. 1% seems like nothing, right? That's exactly why it works, because you don't quit on 1%. But 1% compounded over 365 days isn't 365%. It's exponential growth. It's complete transformation. And here's the trick nobody tells you. You don't need to wait for complete transformation to reap results. Results start appearing in the first 7 days. Small, almost imperceptible, but real. And those small results generate more belief. And more belief generates more action. And more action generates more results. It's a cycle. And when you enter this cycle, you become unstoppable. But you have to enter. And to enter, you need to take the first step. Not the perfect step, the first imperfect step. Because perfection is the enemy of transformation. You'll never be ready. You'll never have all the answers. You'll never feel it's the right time. And if you wait for that, you'll die waiting. Tracy says something that changed my perspective. Successful people do what unsuccessful people don't want to do. Simple as that. It's not about doing extraordinary things. It's about doing common things with extraordinary consistency. Let me give you practical examples. You want financial prosperity? Then be someone who tracks every penny coming in and going out. Every day. Sounds boring? That's because it is. But prosperous people do boring things with discipline. You want health? Then be someone who consciously chooses what enters their body. Every meal. Sounds laborious? That's because it is. But healthy people don't outsource decisions about their own body. You want deep relationships? Then be someone who listens more than they speak. Every conversation. Sounds difficult? That's because it is. But people with real connections don't expect others to make the effort they themselves won't make. See the pattern? It's not about grand gestures. It's about micro choices repeated until they become macro identity. And I know what you're thinking. But this will take too long. Yes, it will. And you know what will happen if you don't start? Time will pass anyway, and you'll remain in the same place. Or worse. Because standing still in a moving world is moving backwards. So the question isn't, how long will it take? The question is, who will I be when that time passes? Because time will pass. You don't control that. But you control who you become while it passes. Tracy has an exercise he teaches in all his seminars. It's so simple it seems silly, but it's so powerful it changes lives. He asks the person to write a sentence. I am someone who, and complete it with the identity they want to have. Not I want to be. Not I will be. I am. Present tense. Current identity. And then he asks the person to act for 1 full day as if that sentence were true. Not pretend, act. Make choices based on that identity. And at the end of the day, write what changed, what you felt, what you did differently, what you noticed. And you know what happens? People discover they always had this power. They just never used it. Because nobody gave permission. But you don't need permission. You need decision. And decision is something you make alone, regardless of who approves or disapproves. Now, there's one last element of the formula Tracy considers crucial, and this element is the most neglected of all. It's environment. You can have the right identity, can have the right action, but if the environment is wrong, you'll fail. Because environment is stronger than intention. If you want to be healthy, but your house is full of junk food, you'll eat junk. If you want to be productive, but your environment is chaotic, you'll be chaotic. If you want to be prosperous, but you hang around people who glorify scarcity, you'll glorify scarcity. Tracy discovered that successful people don't trust willpower. They design the environment so the right choice becomes the easy choice. They don't fight temptations. They eliminate temptations. It's not weakness, it's strategy. If you want to stop spending, cut up the cards. If you want to eat better, don't buy garbage. If you want to focus, uninstall social media. If you want to grow, stop frequenting places that celebrate mediocrity. Sounds extreme? That's because it is. But extreme results require extreme measures. And look, I need to talk about something that will bother some people. There are people in your life who don't want you to change, not because they hate you, but because your change exposes their stagnation. When you start evolving, you become a mirror. And not everyone likes what they see in the reflection. So they'll try to pull you back. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you think you're better than them. They'll say you forgot where you came from. And it hurts, because usually it comes from people you love. But you need to understand, that's their voice, not yours. And you're not responsible for anyone's emotional comfort except your own. Tracy is categorical about this. Show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll show you your future. If your 5 closest friends are stagnant, complainers, and complacent, guess what you'll become? It's not arrogance to cut these people out. It's self-preservation. And it's kind of funny when you think about it. We're more worried about not offending those who pull us down than protecting who we can become. It's like apologizing to the better version of ourselves for choosing mediocrity. Sorry, I know you exist, but I don't want to bother the people who like me failed. The truth is that people who truly love you will celebrate your evolution. Those who love you conditionally will sabotage. And you need the courage to discern between these two. Now, let's tie everything together. Tracy's complete formula is clear identity plus compound action plus designed environment equals inevitable prosperity. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's not privilege. It's mechanics. It's behavioral science applied with brutal consistency. And you can start today. Not tomorrow. Not next Monday. Today. Right now. This exact moment. Choose an identity. Just one. I am someone who... Complete it. And for the next 24 hours, act according to that identity. Every choice filtered through this lens. Every decision based on this being. And when you lie down to sleep tonight, you won't be the same person who woke up this morning. Not because something external changed, but because something internal reorganized. And that internal reorganization is the beginning of everything. Tracy spent decades teaching this. He saw homeless people become millionaires, saw sick people become athletes, saw shy people become speakers, saw ordinary people accomplish extraordinary feats. And you know the only thing they all had in common? They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for the right moment. They didn't wait to feel ready. They simply decided to be different, and then acted based on that decision. So I ask you, who did you decide to be? Not who you want to be, not who you hope to be someday. Who did you decide to be? Because that decision, made now with total conviction, changes the trajectory of your entire life. And if you made it this far, if you're listening to me at this exact moment, You already know something needs to change. You already know there's a bigger version of you waiting to be born. And you already know that nobody besides you can give permission for that version to exist. What teaching from this video was most transformative for you? Leave it in the comments. And if you're going to apply the identity formula, comment, "I am," and complete it with who you decided to be. I want to see. If you already follow the channel, you must know about the Wealth Recode. It unlocks your mind for definitive abundance with daily practices and declarations that reprogram your relationship with prosperity, identity, and action. These are tools Tracy himself would validate because they work on exactly the principles he discovered. If you feel you're ready to take the next step, you know what to do. Access is in the description link. It's a choice, your choice. And before you go, there's a video that complements this perfectly. It's about the principle of reality authorship, about how you create your life through the stories you tell about it. If this video made sense to you, that one will close the circle. The algorithm should have suggested it already. But if it hasn't, look for it on the channel. Got a similar story? Some moment when you changed identity and everything reorganized? Tell me down below. These stories are the fuel of this community. Remember, you're not here by accident. You're here because something in you already knows it's time to change. And change doesn't happen when you want it. Change happens when you decide. So decide. Now. And then act. Because action without decision is wasted energy. But decision without action is self-deception. The formula is in your hands. Tracy delivered it. I translated it. Now it's up to you. Will you use it, or will you store it as just another piece of knowledge you know, but don't apply? Because knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. Actually, it's worse. Because then you don't even have the excuse of ignorance. You have everything you need. You always did. You were just using it wrong. But now you know. And with knowledge comes responsibility. The responsibility not to waste the potential you carry. The responsibility to honor the version of you that fought to get here. The responsibility to become who you were born to be. And if this sounds heavy, it's because it is. Transformation isn't light, isn't comfortable, isn't easy, but it's liberating. And true freedom has no price. So go, apply, fail, learn, adjust, but don't stop. Because stopping is betraying the version of you that believed it was possible. And you owe that to her. You owe that to you. This is the initiate. See you in the next video.